Welcome to the FNCS Pro-Am.
We are back for Major 2. It's been a very long month waiting to see you guys again. And, of course, our fabulous broadcast talent, Eleven and Takata, are with me on the desk.
I am so excited. We are back for Major 2.
It's been a very long month waiting to see you guys again.
Good. It's been a minute.
And, of course, our fabulous broadcast talent, Eleven and Takata, are with me on the desk.
Takata,
I'm
just kidding. Mini Miner loves everyone on the desk, obviously, but it feels good to be back.
I'm good. Does he, though, Eleven?
I'm good. It's been a minute. Yeah, Mini Miner gave me a call. He said, Takata, listen, I cannot handle these two.
I need you to sub for me. We'll catch up with Mini Miner later on in the show, the traitor. He'll be joined by Taco in the commentary booth. Now, let's talk about the Pro-Am, because this was announced earlier. I was about to say in the month, but it's actually April now. I can't believe it. That's what I was guessing get here. We'll catch up with Mini Miner later on in the show, the traitor. He'll be joined by Taco in the commentary booth. Now, let's talk about the Pro-Am, because this was announced some of the best earlier. I was about to say in the month, it's actually April now. I can't believe it. So it was announced back in March. We're going to have 20 incredible creators going all the way back to the Courage Days, my friend. It's going to be even they'll be competing alongside the competition in Reload is going to be fierce. So let's take a look at where they'll be playing at the Fortnite Arena on the 10th calendar, because we get two whole lands this year, two juicy lands. Outside it's going to be even hotter in the booth, because the competition in Reload is going to be fierce. So let's take a look at where this falls in the Fortnite competitive calendar, because we get two whole lands this year, two juicy lands, 11-2K.
I've been wanting two lands in the Fortnite circuit for a long time. You mentioned it being Reload, Frankie. That is so exciting.
I do want to ask Takata very quickly, who do you want to meet in the meet and greets? Because I know you're a Fortnite super fan, right?
Yeah, there's meet and greets from creators, pros all over the world. You know, I haven't met Nick A30 in person. That would be really exciting. It's been a long time since I've seen Aussie Antics in person, so there's a lot of names that I'm excited to see.
Eleven, I know who you want to meet.
Creators, pros all over the world. You know, I haven't met Nick A30 in person. That would be really exciting. It's been a long time since I've seen Aussie Antics in person, so there's a lot of names that I'm excited to see.
Eleven, I know who you want to meet. Yeah, you're going to get some tips.
Yeah, no, I think for me, it's got to be Courage. No, he's amazing. I've never been a chance. He's a Fortnite commentary icon, you know.
You are a pro, your own man. Let's head, though, to this exciting update, and you can find out how you guys are going to get your tickets. Are you ready?
Something from him, yeah. No, he's amazing. So he's been doing it a lot longer than I have.
You are a pro, your own man, Eleven. Let's head, though, to this exciting update, and you can find out how you guys are going to get your tickets. Are you ready?
Welcome to the FNCS Pro-Am.
Get your tickets now. We cannot wait to see you at the Gallon Arena in Los Angeles. Now let's talk about Major 2, because obviously there's been huge switcheroos, as there always are between seasons on the map. Get your tickets now. We cannot wait to see you at the Gallon Arena in Los Angeles. Now let's talk about Major 2, because obviously there's been huge switcheroos, as there always are between seasons on the map. And the mid-match objectives in particular have been changing the game. And for things with Tayson's trio, 11, things have changed in terms of their personnel as well.
It wouldn't be competitive Fortnite in EU if we don't mention Tayson in some capacity. And this season, like you mentioned, he's sharing that responsibility a bit with Tayson. Now Tayson has noticed the change, right? Instead of Trinity, they have got Harris instead. A slight change in the region alongside him. I'm super excited to see how IGL, he was sharing that responsibility a bit with Tayson. Now Tayson has a full brunt of the IGL responsibility, and he's got Chicho and Harris not having as much exciting fraggers in the region alongside him. And now that I'm super excited to see how he fares in that regard. You know, we always in the game to be a super consistent team there for Carter, right?
Yeah, exactly, Levin. You might be wondering, how are they able to keep up with this consistency? Well, now in this new season, there's been 3 new vaults added around the map alongside 3 black markets. But what makes Crime City unique? You might be wondering, how are they able to keep up with this consistency? Well, now in this new season, there's been 3 new vaults added around the map alongside 3 black markets. But what makes Crime City that you can use to get those exotics, get those mystics, get the same POI. It's going to minimize the risk for this trio in the early to mid game, so they can keep up with that market right beside it that you can use to get those exotics, get those mystics, get that extra loot. So it's going to minimize the risk for this trio in the early to mid game, so they can keep up with that consistency.
And the biggest critique Louis had of them last season was like, they have more than enough firepower in endgames to actually maybe make their consistent games worth something.
Another trio that's made a change, but this trio is taking the train.
Plus with the loot that you're going to have landing Crime City,
Volko and Cringe. When you're talking about mythics, right? The strongest mythic weapon is at the new train. It's not the same as last season. Now you can get the mythic Sentinel pump shotgun from this train, and not only that. When you're talking about mythics, right? The strongest mythic weapon is at the new train. It's not the same as last season. Now you can get the mythic Sentinel pump shotgun in the early mid-game. Even just have better chances. There's also an overall UFC that once eliminated in the game where you can hit 200 pumps and one-shot your enemies. So hopefully, if you're looking to play aggressive in the early mid-game, even just have better chances at fighting overall. You have the only shotgun in the game where you can hit 200 pumps and one-shot your enemies. So hopefully, this trio will be able to use that moving forward.
Two of the most exciting names for the best, in particular, right? Leading the scene, everyone's looking at them as star players. Kiddo has spent a lot of this season playing alongside Shark and Chappin. When he was playing with those two guys, IGL, to put them in the right position. And since they split up and coming fraggers in the scene, everyone's looking at them as star players. So I like to see him continue to maybe prove something out strong. I'm sure that he is a top IGL and to put them in the right position. And since they split up, Kiddo has been doing great.
I know you're a bit of an objective geek, so which of these would you think plays into a stronger game plan?
I'm sure that he is a top IGL.
The train or the black market, yeah.
Well, the thing is, the train has the best shotgun in the game, right? But it doesn't have as much loot as you get with Crime City. So, there's pros and cons to it. We'll honestly have to see.
Yeah, the train or the black market, yeah.
I think Tayson's one is the train has the best shotgun in the game, right? But it doesn't have as much loot as you get with Crime City. So, there's pros and cons to it. We'll honestly just have to see kind of the play style of both trios. I think Tayson's one is going to be more consistent overall, but if Kiddo wants to frag out with his trio, then they have the capacity to do so.
You've got to think you're in the consistency places, so maybe just getting a win and getting the big thing is obviously just in this lobby, right?
We've got another win for you guys now, because you might be missing Mini Miner on the desk, and I have to admit I am. But you're going to be blessed when we head into game, because he's going to be casting with the wonderful best tacker. So let's see them now. We've got another win for you guys now, because you might be missing Mini Miner on the desk, and I have to admit I am. But you're going to be blessed when we head into game, because he's going to be casting with the wonderful best tacker. So let's see them now.
Especially for this Group 1 kicked off. But
Thanks so much,
I think
Frankie and the
picking
team,
your brain a little bit
the
on a couple of the teams,
so
what I have to start off with is Podesai, why not just bring that into the cast?
We
So
know how
really
much
excited to have you
travesty
here with
they
us,
kind of had to
especially for
deal
this
with
Group
in
1
that major
kickoff.
one
But
final.
I think
So
all they're
picking
really
your
looking
brain
for
a
at
little
this
bit on a
phase
couple
is
of other
to
teams.
get
What I
their
have to start
seat
off
on the
with
battle
is
bus for the major 2
Podesai
finals,
is squeezing
and
hard
it
still,
starts with
because
being
we
uncontested.
know
Surely,
how much of a
Yeah,
travesty they
uncontested, they
kind of
seem
had
to
to
have done
deal with
pretty
in that
well,
major
whilst
one
uncontested. They
final.
have
So
not done that
all they're
great
really
when they've been
looking for at
contested.
this
30th
phase
place
is
in one of the
to
divisional
get
finals
their
when they
seat
were
on the battle
contested.
bus for the major 2
17th and
finals,
18th when they
and
were
it starts with being
uncontested. So
uncontested,
I feel like this is a trio that again they seem to have done pretty well whilst uncontested. They have not done that great when they've been contested. 30th place in one of the divisional finals when they were contested. 17th and 18th when they were uncontested. So I feel like this is a trio that Welsh player playing. So I'm going to be mentioning him. Of course, it's Kane. Of course, it's Iron, and it is Ivan, which is going to be playing today, landing down there towards the Master Meadows area. Originally uncontested as Welsh player playing, so I'm going to be mentioning him. Of course, it's Kane. Of course, it's Iron, and it is Ivan, which is going to be playing today. What's interesting about this is that both teams haven't really had that much experience together. They just both got together going into the victory royale for this trio, but now it looks as though they have set lobbies landing at this drop spot. And what's interesting about this is that both teams just haven't really had that much experience together. They've just both got together going into the play-ins, and only Ivan has actually had experience in set lobbies landing at this drop spot. So really interested to see whether that can be just a bit of a free-for-all.
Yeah, Ivan's going to need all that experience, so he wants to find his qual in his second
Thank you very much. Well, one of the trios I've got for you is an existing trio who have had some surprising results since Major 1, and I don't mean in a bad way, 11-2K.
Yeah, maybe not even surprising, right? After their excellent third place in the major
one of the trios I've got for you is an existing trio who have had some surprising results since Major 1, and I don't mean in a bad way, 11-2K.
And I think it's safe to say it has. After their excellent third place in the major finals, when you look at this team, Vanya, Marius, Pixie, a lot of people were wondering whether or not the momentum would continue. But these guys, I think it's safe to say it has been the second most consistent of any of the teams this season who's been super consistent. There haven't been many. There's not been like that one standout team. There's been up and down performances from all of the top teams. But these guys, in terms of average placement, so I think they're an absolute shoe in to qualify today and teams who win a game. Divisional finals. They've exceptional at times. Takata, they're the team in this lobby competing today who have the most victory royales in certain last season. One of my biggest critiques of them was in to qualify today and probably win a game in a 3v3 with 2 teams. It's really wobbly. Like, I was telling the key things about really nervous, really terrible in my opinion in those situations. Last season, one of my biggest critiques last season, they were in 2 situations where final 3v3 with 2 teams. Right, just that's a lot of second place. That's a lot of extra points. You're leaving off really nervous. This season, they've been in my opinion in those situations. They've won to actually look at it last season. In that regard, I think they're looking a lot stronger, a lot more confident. I'm really impressed with these guys so far. That's a lot of second place. That's a lot of extra points.
Difficulty converting the top twos into the victory royales. But how have they been able to do it this season? Well, win condition is the heal-off meta, and this trio drops at 100%. They had that difficulty converting the top twos into the victory royales. Well, no, there's more to it. Able to do it this season. Well, win condition is where is the only mythic chug on the map, the only vending machine where you can purchase chug splashes, and they land right above it and have the right opportunity to rotate through there, get all the heals, get everything they need to close out these end games. Vending machine where you can purchase chug splashes, and they land right above it and have the perfect opportunity to rotate through there, get all the heals, get everything they need to close out these end games. But Levin, the trio, Marius, I know you want to talk about him.
His trajectory's been really interesting. When he sort of burst onto the scene last year, oh my goodness, he has been cooking this season. I've been so impressed with him. It didn't quite work out that way. And even at times last season, his trajectory's been really interesting. When he sort of burst onto the scene last year, a lot of people expected him to sort of go from strength to strength and keep on rising in duos. It didn't quite work out that way. And even at times last season, when this guy has been playing out of his mind, when you look at some of the statistics to Carter, damage dealt in divisional cup finals this season, he ranks in second. Could be ratio this season. It has not been a doubt. 15 assists. This guy has been playing out of his mind. When you look at some of the statistics, without a shadow of a doubt, damage dealt in divisional cup finals this season, he ranks in second. This team is ratio be a contender. Eliminations, he's 15.
But it will continue with how lethal Marius has been looking and how crucial you kind of need that fragging power in these types of matches, not only for the consistency, but for securing enough loot to be able to get those victory royales. So, Marius has been looking and how crucial you kind of need that fragging power in these types of matches, not only for the consistency, but for securing enough loot to be able to get those victory royales. So, I can almost guarantee that we'll see them qualifying today.
When you look at the Group 1 lobby list, there's definitely another trio that sticks out. Sky, Scroll, and iDrop. They haven't necessarily had quite the same results, though, as Vanya's trio, have they, Levin?
Last seseason, this time last season, when we were doing high-fine, right? You look at the transition from like Major 1 to Major 2. Vanya sort of had a great end to the season and has continued. I just guess Scroll have had a weird season because last season, this time last season, when we were doing Group 1 of Major 1, they were in that group, and this season they haven't quite been able to reach the heights. It feels like the honeymoon period might have ended a tad bit. They struggled when being contested. You can see that on that graph. Like, it's very obvious when they've been contested. They're one of the teams that really struggles. They've been able to reach the heights of 5. But when they are contested, they can still be quite consistent. And they're one of those teams who has a lot of contested. You can see that on that graph. Like, it's very obvious when they've been contested. They're one of the teams that really struggles hard to really get on whether or not this team can actually get back to some of the levels we saw from them last season. And they're one of the teams who has a lot of experience in bringing set lobbies.
Yeah, I love that you alluded to how they were doing so well from the start, but all it was that major final that got to them. The good news is they're uncontested today, so, based on previous performances, we should be able to see them qualify at least through consistency, if not a victory royale. But what truly matters for this trio is performing in the major finals if they make it today. So, based on previous performances,
I've been really good, and I haven't discussed what we're wearing at all during this pre-show. It's rare for me. However, I'm now allowed to discuss what we could be wearing. The Blast.tv/merch store. That is where you can get your I've been really good, and I haven't discussed what we're wearing at all during this pre-show. It's rare for me. However, I'm now allowed to discuss what we could be wearing. The Blast.tv/merch store. That is where you can get your to a very stylish pair, because we need to kick off game number 1 of this set into tonight's so you can do it now. I'll say that again. Blast.tv/merch store to get your FNCS clothing. Let's head over now, though, to a very stylish pair, because we need to kick off game number 1 of 5 in tonight's Group 1 Major 2 action. That is a mouthful.
For this Group 1 stage, and most importantly still, you're going to have 5 games to work with. Keep in mind, it's going to be similar format to exactly in the last season, where so much insight, and that's your ticket to get onto the battle bus. So all these teams are going to be looking for Victor Royale. You're going to have 5 games to work with. Keep in mind, it's going to be similar format to exactly in the last season.
Really, really important games for so many of our teams. Of course, if you don't qualify through today, it's only the last chance qualifier in which you can get through to the Major 2 final, so the pressure is really going to be on. And I think this is really where we get to see these are 5 really, really important games for so many of our teams. Of course, if you don't qualify through today, maybe some of the last chance in the rough, if you like, some teams in which you can get through to the Major 2 final, so the pressure is really going to be on.
Yeah,
and I think this is really where we get to see a first glimpse of which teams are really going to be looking out to maybe perform really well this season. Maybe some diamonds in the rough, if you like, some teams that we haven't seen too much of. I'm super excited to get stuck into the
what takes place here. Yeah, everybody's kind of been making their predictions based off of how the groups actually even panned out. I know for Group 1 and Group 3, there's definitely some teams that are going to be very noticeable, but we're going to see what takes place here with Group 1, Game 1,
ready to go. We're kicking things off in style right now. I think there's a lot of teams here that we would expect Taco to make their way through. Here we go. This is it. Via Victory Royales, but this
Game number 1,
this week, this group, if you like, has provided a few upsets in the past. I think there's a lot of teams here that we would expect Taco to make their way through via consistency, via Victory Royales. But this format, this week, this group, if you like, has provided a few upsets in the past. So
some of these drops are actually going to open up. But one thing's for sure is that you can manage to see a little bit of action taking place in some of the contested areas early on, at least until teams are able to establish whether or not some of these drops are actually going to open up. Just going to be based on which teams actually manage to work their way out with the Victor Royales, but deeper inside the right now, Firebro, but still kind of just trying to get their footing, trying to be split right off the bat where exactly their opposition lies, because they want to close in. They're feeling relatively healthy. Deeper inside the building, the proximity alert's going out. Kind of just trying to get their footing, trying to get
to be a little bit more passive in the first game.
Exactly
just get a feel for how things go. Of course, a team that's not likely to be contested today. It's Fringe, Volko, Kiduo. The analysts talked about it at the beginning of the day, how we expect those sort of fights to be a little bit train is going to be for their strategy. They're cracking it open right now. How things go. Of course, a team that's shotgun that they're going to be able to obtain from there is going to be Fringe, Volko, Kiduo. The analysts talked about it at the beginning of the day, how on through they're going to be able to open train is going to be for their strategy. They're cracking it open right now. Trade-off for this team. They're going to get less loot shotgun that they're going to be able to obtain from there. It's going to be really important as well. Better loot, if you like. Taco continues to drive on through. They're going to be able to open it up, place in every single game. So they know it's a bit of a trade-off for this team. They're going to get less loot that pump every single game. This train alone, but they will of course have better loot if you like, Taco. And what I like about this is, of course, the train spawns in the same place in every single game, so they know exactly where it's going to be.
And Fletcher Kane as well, that unstoppable medallion. Exactly, it's going to be something that Kilo Cringe and Volko are certainly after, but some minor woes teams focusing in on Cade and Ivan. The match, keep in mind, and Fletcher Kane as well, that unstoppable medallion things up here going to be something that Kilo Cringe and Volko are certainly after. As back to focusing in on Cade and Ivan. The building, shot's not going to connect there for Cade. Trying to open things up here. Definitely happy about that one, but Yasin, let's keep an eye out for what might be lurking behind him. They're doing an excellent job to collapse nearly from Cade and not going to connect there for Cade. Just doing what he can, farming a little bit more material. Definitely happy about that one, but Ivan's got to be careful as well. Keep an eye out for what might be overly exposed. Any teams that are further south here nearly from Cade and Aryan.
I think this is where a lot of these fights are going to be taking place here at Mars Meadows, just in that sort of main bank vault. Of course, that's what both these teams are going to be vying for. They're going to be wanting all of that loot that's inside of there. Of course, the dill bits to rotate to the north to get to that black market as well. These fights are going to be taking place here at Mars Meadows, just in that sort of just main bank vault. I think you're right there. Of course, that's what both these teams are going to be vying for. They're going to be wanting all of that loot that's inside of there. Of course, the dill bits to rotate to the north to get to that black market as well. Going to be so important, as it looks as though guys are looking to have just decided to back off. I think you're right there. They might have players nearby. There's another team coming on through. Brutal box cards right now. And it's these early tags that are going to be so important. And for these teams, of course, getting that early damage done early is so important. Getting that storm surge damage outside of out of the way is just so crucial. Especially early tags are going to be so important.
Problem is, they were looking
these teams, of course, getting that early damage done early is so important. Getting that storm surge damage out of the way is just so crucial.
They want a fight,
especially going into the first game competition.
Early surge online, they were looking like they might be victims if they're not careful with that positioning. Rezoil, on the other hand, a little bit of a difficult one to break through as far as an engagement is concerned. They know that there's a team up on the mountainside, so they can't online to go for the high ground. Outlaw, they're just trying to collapse onto this team underneath them. Putrix, a difficult one to break through as far as an engagement is concerned. They know that there's a team up on the mountainside, so they can't afford to go for the high ground fully. They're just trying to collapse onto this team to be open underneath them. Putrix knows doing what he can to delay as much as possible. Putrix trying to chase it down momentarily, but this is absolute catastrophe here for Putrix's team. That's all it takes.
Yeah, really great stuff from this trio, though. We know how good this team are at fighting. Their mechanical ability is great, and I think what was most important for them there was just the fact they were able to avoid the shots of Sky and Scroll on that hill. Yeah, really great stuff from this trio, though. We know how a little bit messy this team are at fighting. Their mechanical ability is great, and I think what was most important for them block off all of their angles there was just the fact that they were able to avoid the shots of Sky and Scroll on that hill. That was really effective. So if things get a little bit messy, that team, it's almost the Dream Scroll are going to be easily there to pick up the attacks. The way they're able to actually drop down from this trio, roaming around their drop spot, looking for Storm Surge tags. Remember last year, or last season, I should say, they landed that sort of start for that team. It's almost the Dream start towards the factory cap. This is a strategy that we've often seen from this trio, being uncontested. Roaming around their drop spot, looking for them now to learn from that. Remember last year, or last season, I should say, they landed that sort of those sort of drop top two situations into wins. Factory Kappa Kappa going to be so vital for this team now, particularly in this sort of format where wins do really matter. Learn from that. I'm excited to see what this team can do. I think they'll have it as well. Definitely a case to say they're probably those sort of team in the lobby in terms of situations into wins. It's going to be so vital for this team now, particularly in this sort of format where wins do really matter. I'm excited to see what this team can do. I think they'll have a definite case to say they're probably the best team in the lobby in terms of their performances this season. I'm excited to see what they can
early surge damage. Got a glimpse back into what happened with Cole, maybe getting a little bit more of a haircut than what he's trio, and unfortunately storming for much longer. Not exactly the friendly cleanup collapse here, and Scroll that early surge damage. Recognize the fact that hey, these teams are getting active. He was the lone survivor opportunity to trio, and unfortunately won't be standing for much longer. That is an easy cleanup collapse here, and Scroll a little bit at bay here. All the while, going to recognize the fact that hey, these teams are getting active. We might have an opportunity to go for these teams are going to have to push in eventually. They could look to tank a little bit of that early storm tick damage off. Held a little bit at here. Too much of a disarray. Positioning as well from Scroll. Same time though, Scroll eye drop that he's got the advantage. These teams are going to have to push in eventually. Could look to tank a little bit of that early performance. They did damage. And Major One without being too much of a disarray. We know that they're capable of finding a Victor Royale. Sky. The question is the thing that everybody's looking for is can they have that standout win performance?
It's definitely going to be something they're going to learn from, of course, getting into the Major One finals. Not having the greatest time.
We know that they're capable
of finding that experience is going to be absolutely vital. I know the experience of iDrop is vast, and of course Sky and Scroll too. It's definitely going to be something to learn from, of course, getting into the Major One finals, not having the greatest time. Skill ceiling, they still have a long way to go. They're going to be absolutely vital. So the experience will have a long way to go in terms of vast, and of course Sky and Scroll too in the game. Finest players for upcoming players as well, if you like, when it comes to team they're looking to skill ceiling. They still have a long way to go. Something that we will see a lot of today, I think. Players have a long way to go in terms of the claiming and achieving inside. This is definitely a bit of a benefit for these teams, but no, it's Kiduo there on the other side that actually takes advantage of that with lower down. This is something that we will see a lot of today, I think. Players driving those teammates as well as Cringe Kiduo claiming the loot inside. We know how good this team can be when they're fighting for these teams, but no, inventory Kiduo there on the other side that actually takes advantage of that. Vasquez goes down.
It's more so the fact that they knew exactly where Cringe's team was making the approach from, and
we know how good this team can be when they're fighting. You can see it in inventory mythics galore. They're really making the most of it. 2 eliminations right there.
Cringe, Kiduo, Volko, they might be exactly where Cringe's team was making the approach from, and now they still completely revealed to the stealth strategy here, not actually Floki. He's got other plans in mind. Floki just trying to talk about as much space as possible, trying to get a little bit of distance here, but Cringe, Kiduo, Volko, they seem like they're interested in the stealth strategy, not actually going to blow very well for them. Currently, Floki just trying to talk about as much space as possible, trying to get a little bit of distance here, but Cringe, Kiduo, Volko, they seem like they're interested from those 2 early eliminations. A little bit longer here. There could always be room for more. Just behind them,
I think they'll be brimming with confidence after those first 2 eliminations for that team. Really great work from them. I mean, they have that confidence of the loot, as we spoke about earlier, from that train. It just gives them that freedom, if you like, just definitely. Yeah, I think they'll be brimming with confidence after those first 2 eliminations. Really can flip that fight in an instant. Great work from them. I mean, they have that confidence of the loot, as we spoke about earlier, sort of train. It just gives them that freedom, if you like, just a pop and drops hit a 200 pump. I spoke about earlier, hasn't quite generated as much success in history, but So now Dex able to do from it is what's most important, as they're outside this sort of Seaport City area. These guys players land up there, stuff inside of Seaport City and around the other area. Hasn't quite generated as much success in history, but what they're able to do from it is what's most important, as they're being in between two teams of those players like that, though, stuff inside of Seaport City and around the other areas. Situation there. Of course, they'll also be looking back at them.
It didn't seem as though they had a whole lot of.
It's not a bad position. I kind of like this sort of being in between two teams. If you don't get a team like that, though,
likely have to try and commit for a fight
difficult situation there.
A team that's kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum. They had a whole lot of heals. Marius has been as far as their loadouts were concerned. One of our clear favorites. They're going to likely have to try and commit for a fight for good reason. The Desk highlighted team that's kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum is going to be Marius' come up. Marius has been an absolute demon outside of Major 1. These guys have just been on today's Group 1, and for good reason. They have so much time with all the resources at Flip Frogs to hang around. Their come up since their performance outside of Major 1. These guys have just been on a rampage, it seems like, and it's going to continue. They have so much time with all the resources
I think we'll see a lot of these sort of fights taking a little bit longer as they're sort of round two. Now we fight that we saw at the bank. Facade Island's team that, of course, that will be contesting them all day, just outside of Marks Meadows here. I think we'll see a lot of these sort of fights trying to go that high as they're sort of round two of the fight that we saw at the bank. Of course, Misha, a player that still hasn't quite had as much success in them all day. Would have liked since trying to find angles playing with Teeny. CK trying to do that either as well. Grand finals or major finals since then. So Misha, he was looking to try and find a little bit of form. Of course, Misha, a player that still hasn't right here. These are the moments for trios and teams that really make all the difference. Both teams will need the surge. Actually, Madu. And for now, it's a bit of a stalemate. Nobody wants to make that big mistake. Nobody wants to find a little bit of form, which is kind of what you need in these fights right here. These are the moments that trios and teams that really make all the difference. Both teams will need the surge.
The problem is, both of these teams
it's a bit of a stalemate because nobody wants to make that big mistake. Nobody wants to take that risk, which is kind of what you need, Taco, in these fights. You need that one player just to say, right, I'm going to hop in, try and make a play and hit max damage.
Close in on that distance. Both of these teams, the intention just seemed to be because of it. Neither of them surge on line here. Yassing, they know they got to get a couple of nice shots. Teams are already likely not willing to fully close in on that distance inside. The intention just seemed to be get a little bit of surge on line, see how that's actually going for them later on. But to that edge of zone, teams are already likely holding them the moment that they touch foot, kind of just waiting inside of the next zone. So you have to keep in mind, there's definitely going to be how that's actually voting for them later on, but surge damage coming into play here for a lot of these teams. One thing about these group stages for the first matches kind of just waiting are much slower paced in terms of the eliminations actually racking up. Some effects teams are going to be threatened. Surge damage coming into play here for a lot of these teams.
When you're in these sort of situations,
one thing about these group stages for the first matches,
you look at the way that the guns are laid out, you see sort of
in terms of the elimination
scan, scope, weapons. You think, yeah, it's all about sort of boxing up and sort of playing surge time when you're in these sort of situations. Because if you look at these, you look at the way that the guns are laid out, you see sort of progressing. Hit, scan, scope, weapons. You think, yeah, it's all about sort of boxing up and sort of playing surge time. We need a win. Maybe we're sort of lower down the leaderboard. Let's try and go for some surge tags early on. Let's take a fight that maybe a lot more of that or weren't taking earlier on. Maybe in the case of Cade, see a lot of our teams that didn't see them maybe decide, okay, we need a win. Maybe that'll lower down the leaderboard. Let's try and go for some surge tags earlier on. Let's take a fight that maybe out of the way, make sure that weren't taking earlier on. Maybe in the case of Cade's team, for example, we didn't see them aggress too much in two instances. Maybe that'll change as we go further on.
But doesn't seem as though he's been flagged out just
get out of the way, make sure that you're not going to be going down too early. That's the most important.
As possible. Truly, Jake Buka and Zen could be in a world of trouble here. They're so distracted though. Many flagged out just yet. Ivan and Aryan trying to provide as much backup as possible. Truly, Jake Buka and Zen could be in a world of trouble here. They're not going to allow Aryan and Ivan progressing further. In fact, they're trying to jump a different team entirely to get some return fire online, but instead, team in the surge base and now from a distance, still alert here. They're not going to allow Aryan and Ivan progressing further. In fact, they're trying to jump connection shot. Otherwise, they're going to try to get some return fire online, but instead, it's all out scramble.
This is going from bad to worse with this trio. They didn't capitalize on those fights earlier on, not on the bank, not just outside of the POI. This is where things start to get a little bit desperate for them as Cade tries to get inside of the box on the kneecap, but doesn't quite go as well as Ivan does the same. Swinging, trying to get some hits through, connecting with so many. Jake Buka's the only one left, and it is a success for the trio. Tries to get inside of the box with the kneecap, but doesn't quite go as well as Ivan does the same. swinging, trying to get some hits through, connecting with so many. Jake Buka's the only one left, and it is a success for the trio. They're all still alive, albeit two down.
A moment to breathe, though, and that's all that Aryan really needs. As well as trying to revive his teammates at the same time. Two separate teams looking in, runs trying to be hit just across the board here. And finally, a moment to breathe, though, and that's all that Aryan really needs. Aryan, that was the kind of damage they needed. All you can hear is buy them some time. Still in a relatively rough position across the board here. 539 absolute chaos fest currently. Aryan, that was the kind of damage they needed to buy them some time.
Aryan just able to hop right in the box. I think it was Ivan that did a lot of the damage. Aryan just cleaning up there at the end. I mean, that is an element of that kneecap of this again. I mean, this is absolutely unreal. The way that this season Aryan just able to hop right in the box. I think it was Ivan that did a lot of the damage. Aryan just cleaning up there at the end. I mean, that is an element of that kneecap but for now, Scroll's definitely going to be major, very important this season. We talk about it so often as a mobility sort of item as we see Scroll doing that right now, but he's lost two of his teammates.
Fortunately for him,
I think we're definitely going to see some close range encounters with that kneecap, but for now, Scroll's got a major problem on his hands. He's lost both Eyedrop and Sky.
It's going to be a tough position, though. Fortunately for him, at least the team way out of. I'm not sure I was nearby that much more interested in actually getting even into a reboot scenario. Necessarily puts them in a much better position. Might extend a tough position, though. But as far as actually digging his way out of that, I'm not sure scenario is concerned. Many have to expect that some of these other teams scenario necessarily puts them in a much better position.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely a lot of teams that will look to try and go for that win. Of course, now that they've been able to get that early Storm Surge damage, I think for Eyedrop, Sky and Scroll, it's about trying to get as many points as possible out of this game now.
Yeah, I think so.
You never know when you're going to need it, right? The points might come in clutch later on in terms of consistency.
Of course, now that
sure we'll see those guys
thriving in
Storm Surge damage. I think for Eyedrop, Sky and Scroll, it's about trying to get as many points as possible out of this game now. I mean, also you never know when you're going to need it, right? The points might come in clutch later on in terms of consistency. Probably the rest of the season as well. Taco was a lot of Storm tanking in future games, but of course a lot of white heals, of course, inside of the meta. I know Tacox talked about it at the beginning, where I think it's going to be a big element when it comes to the end game, but even sort of the early to rest of the season as well. Taco was a lot of Storm tanking, skip that mid game, and a lot of white heals sort of stay inside of the meta. I know Tacox talked about it at the beginning, where it's going to be a big element when it comes to the end game, even sort of the early to mid game as well, just being able to almost skip that mid game and sort of stay inside of the Storm for such prolonged periods of time. We see Scroll, Eyedrop, and Sky now back together as a trio doing the same.
Receive return fire here. Polish now trying to get that tag team combination, but Garmin, he's just falling too incredible. Eliminated. Back up for a moment. Garmin tricks made it look too easy here. Fortunately, going to be able to receive return fire here. Polish now position trying to get that tag team combination, but Garmin, he's just falling too incredibly low. He's much attention their way. Tricks. Polish. Fortunately, they've got to be careful as well. They know that there are other teams looking to collapse, but he's still completely focused so much attention their way. Blasi might be able to get sneak shot, playing around the tree. Be careful as well. They know that there are other teams looking to collapse. There's other teams just too close by. He still wants to see if he can find an angle on where Carmen and Tricks are at. Blasi might be able to get sneak shot, playing around the tree, a little bit healthier than what he was just sitting at. There's other teams just too close by. He wants to see if he can find an angle. It's a choice at this stage, Minnie, but Memphis Grenade might just ensure that Blasi's able to get a little bit healthier than what he was just sitting at. Possible. They don't feel healthy enough to fight. It's a choice at this stage,
Minnie, but
to
disengage entirely and just work with what you've got, or try and close out the fight as quickly as possible with the amount of teams that are nearby. I just don't think they really could have gone for that full elimination. So I think it's a smart play here to situation. The problem is disengage entirely, and there's so many teams now that have to sort of rotate through, close out the fight as quickly as possible with the amount of teams that are nearby. I just don't think they really could have gone for really difficult rotation elimination. So I think it's a smart play here to just disengage. Really not going to be easy to where the zone is. There's so many teams now that have to sort of rotate through. Players looking down from above, players towards and this is just back as well. Not the greatest situation, but again I think it's where this team just need to try and right. Let's just try and get into those places. Really not going to be easy at all. Now Storm Surge will start to waste this game. Kick in as well pretty shortly.
They've got to scale up some of the mountain
and this is just not the greatest situation. Again, I think this is where this team just need to try and think, right, let's just try and get into those placing points. Let's try and ensure that
the team's
we're not going to waste this game.
And boxed up, they've got to scale up some of the mountain face. Spanning around brutal boxcars directly into Hartsfield, an entirely fresh trio right behind them. But the team's already elevated, and it seems like they're going to be the ones closing that water weapon, being able to find a much time. Artist, Dexy, and Huddy, they're taking full advantage. Artist is having already in position inside the zone. It's just 3 HP, and at least that's what it seems like, but they need that elimination to be able to buy him much more time. Artist, Dexy, and Huddy, they are taking full advantage when you're dealing with some of this elevated position inside the zone. It is just easy pickings, or at least that's what it seems like.
The health advantage as
They
well. It
need
looks
these
like Tricks.
eliminations, Minnie. They would like
Carmino
a
look
refresh
like they
because
are
know
actually taking the
Mats go
Storm
quickly
Surge,
when
and
you're
yeah, it's going to be
dealing with some
Carmino
of
that
this
does go down
elevated
to
terrain.
the Storm Surge, I believe. And I mean, Tricks also the same as player advantage this year. They have the health advantage as well. As soon as you understand that the team next to you look like they are shambles, they don't have Storm Surge, and yeah, it's going to be Carmino that does go down to the Storm Surge, I believe. Close on through. Tricks also the same as getting tagged. As soon as you hear that crack as a player, as soon as you understand that the team next to you are shambles, they don't have that much damage, they don't have two players in their team, you have to close on through. Bolstering this team to loot some more eliminations as well, huge for that team. In that situation, as we get to see some more great plays here from Artis, who's just looking back sort of towards the Storm, really nicely done from him there. Bolstering this team's loot, some more eliminations as well,
that is
huge for that
something
team.
that Tayson and Chicho have notoriously struggled with.
Tayson,
Originally they were
on the
with
other
True
hand,
Legs, now they switched out for yet another Vulcan player in to connect the most. It is those mini late game refreshes. That is something that Tayson and Chicho have notoriously struggled with. At least in comparison to these teams that are True Legs, kind of now they switched out for yet another Vulcan player in center zone. Sky, I dropped Mini, largely just Sky and Scroll at this point though. In a pretty I dropped unfortunately having been eliminated. At least in comparison to some of these teams that are up here for Sky and Scroll. A little bit further outside of that center zone. Sky to the body though. They know they're getting largely just Sky and Scroll at this point though. I dropped unfortunately having been eliminated, but pick up some much needed here for Sky and Scroll. It's still not going to be able to make it to the body, though. They know they're going to high ground the rest of the lobby. Could take notice of them and focus in the moment. Sky does manage another big notch though for Sky. It's just going to continue buying them more and more time. Very difficult position to play from.
They're going to
They know
make a
that high
max ball
ground
rotation here,
could
so
take notice of them
Sky
at
and
any
Scroll, they
given
have to
moment.
make a decision.
Another
They rotate
big
early, they try and get a little bit of extra
Sky.
loot, but of
It's
course
just
time
gonna
needs to be on their
continue buying them more
side.
and more
For
time.
that to happen, they need to get out of here as quickly as possible. They're going to rotate on full rotation here, so the elimination there Sky and Scroll, they have to make a decision. See exactly how that went down, get a little bit of extra loot, but of course time needs to be on their side. Of course, can't really escape to get out of here as quickly as possible, rotate on through. They do find the elimination there onto Fire Bro, and we see exactly how that went down. Sky getting some really nice tags there onto Fire Bro, of course can't really escape. That's crucial for that team because it gets them right above the storm.
We just spray at this moment. It's mazy though. It's going to be difficult as is for anybody to even try and challenge the high ground, much less make it a secondary ground. So all that suggestion is starting to pull into those lower layers. It's just going to pose a huge threat to teams, but like it's going to be difficult as is for anybody to even try and challenge the high ground, much less make it a secondary height. And they're trying to push congestion that's starting to pull into those lower layers, connecting. It's going to pose a huge threat to teams like I drop. This is such an optimal position to be in. They're working from the P.E.K.K.A. zone as is, and they're trying to push forward.
Scroll, I mean, this is a team, of course, that did duo up. They were a duo, so they're going to have to use all of that experience, maybe even communicating in Danish now. They can speak with it in their native language to each other. I mean, this is a team, of course, that did duo up in the situation. They were a duo, so they're going to have to use all of that experience, maybe even communicating in Danish now. They can speak what's that 6 elimination in their native language to each other. Freedom, that flexibility in endgame, just to play the way that they like. You can see the gold splashes coming through here as well. Just Dexy, these guys have been getting right to that front side of zone. That 6 elimination, huge amount for this team. It's just that flexibility in endgame, just to play the way that they like. And you can see that they can do it. Look, it's coming through here as well. Pixie and Marius, it's not a team you really want to be aggressing at this stage of the game, but they survive. They live to tell the tale elimination. It's just these frags, these late game refreshes that are going to be so important. We know they can do it. Look, it's against Sleaze, Vanya, Pixie and Marius. It's not a team you really want to be aggressing at this stage of the game, but they survive. They live to tell the tale, and so does Vanya.
Pixie absolutely being from afar is like they had tabs on what's happening trio for a moment, but so now that's going to force this trio. Pixie, they're wasting no time whatsoever. Get us unfortunately just another vial. Pixie absolutely being from afar. That was a massive shot there. Tabs on what's happening overhead. So now that's going to force this trio to go for a pause. They're not intentional.
Oh no, Snazy, that is not ideal whatsoever. They're still up at the backside of zone there, Floki and Ice, so I can only assume that he just tried to go down for the loot, and this is what we're going to see right now. Let's see what actually happened. Oh Snaily, that is misplay whatsoever. They're still up at the backside of the zone there, Floki and Ice, so I can only assume that he just tried to go down for the loop, and this is what we're going to unfortunately see right now, but now this opens the door right wide open. It's a mistake, it's a misplay, now see that there's only a duo up on height, using that kneecap to avoid so many eliminations, fall damage again, just as he's about to fall down there, unfortunately to his demise, but now this opens the door right wide open. They're going to have to rethink going against Dexy, who now see that there's only a duo up on height. This could be their time. We saw them getting so many eliminations, fall damage again for Floki. It's all come crashing down, and for that team, they're going to have to rethink going to game 2.
Dexy just trying to remain unseen. Everything is so chaotic under the high ground. Dexy's team here is still barely mistakes. Finds another elimination they just took out, but Benji's now potentially sabotaged here in the process of being fully eliminated. So chaotic underneath. Dexy's team here is setting up nicely. Barely
really nicely indeed. They've got that exotic chug jug as well, so things do go down to a heel off. Things are looking very, very strong for them, but the duo of the day so far is Sky and Scroll. They're continuing to plow through this lobby. 8 eliminations between the two of them, but look at that exotic chug jug as well. So things do go down to a heel off. Things are looking very, very strong for them, but the duo of the day so far is Sky and Scroll. They're continuing to plow through this lobby. 8 eliminations between the two of them, but look at their HP. They're going to need these refreshes sooner rather than later. They're going to need that cycle. Which goes down to Sky there as long as they try and wait for that siphon to come through. Gets another close out that one. They do get the loop. You can see them right now. The materials are still lacking. They're going to need even more. They're going to get even more. As Clapsy goes down to Sky there as long as they have to try and wait for that siphon to come through. Gets another huge tag on Gavix. And he is on a tear right now.
Impossible with 0 sets whatsoever. Another victim in success. Down for time to get shield on finally. Now controlling the inside wall. But at the same time, they have to keep in mind what lies directly above the next whatsoever. Another victim here is still in the downfall underneath, but Fire's going to find himself getting put down in the dirt. Now controlling the inside Huddy, but at the same time, they have to keep in mind in a slide directly manner now. Because another victim got this one on lock.
This is surely going to be the moment. It's a 3v1 situation. Artist, Hutty, and Dexy are the very first team to make their way into a major 2 finals. Excellently played game. This is surely going to be the moment. It's a 3v1 situation. Artist, Hutty, excellent eliminations in the mid-game as well. Just closing it out with quite a straightforward win for them. Finals.
It's just the
excellently played game. Sacco, high ground dominance. Really excellent eliminations in the mid-game as well. And just closing it on out with quite a straightforward win for them.
It's just the heads-up awareness. They were hovering in that secondary height layer for so long. They had an opportunity. They got one tangled down. They got nothing. They knew everything just came down to the fact that as soon as Daisy, that was their chance to strike. And was the mid-game refreshes. Huddy immediately looks up. Let's chop these guys down. They've got everything right. And a victory royale to guarantee their spot in the major 2 finals. That was their chance to strike. They're not the only ones that had some mid-game refreshes up to that closing moments here, Vinny. They just did.
Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations to Hutty, Dexy, and Artist, because we'll be seeing them in the major 2 grand finals in a few weeks' time. Takata, as you're fresh on the desk this year,
thank you very much, guys.
Congratulations to Hutty, Dexy, and Artist.
It feels like there was a trio that got
in the major 2 grand finals in a
few
few weeks' time.
Yeah, Snazy, Floki, and Ice, they have not only the exotic chug jug from their drop spot, but they also had high ground and everything they needed to close that match off. But when you got the kneecap or you got that Snazy, Floki, and Ice, they have not only the exotic and I don't think Snazy was able to get that jump high ground and everything they needed to close that match, and then Artist capitalized on that, took high ground where you got closed out the match. So overall, congratulations to the trio. Damage, and I don't think Snazy was able to get that jump off, unfortunately, leading to his demise, and then Artist capitalized on that, took high ground, and closed out the match. So overall, congratulations to the trio.
That ends up winning can almost escape by, right? To be fair to them, they were incredibly proactive in this endgame. And if you know anything about Hutty as a player, that's no surprise chaos going on down below. That like the team that ends up winning and almost escape by, right? To to be fair to them, they were incredibly proactive in this end game. And if you know anything about Haji as a player, that's no surprise. You know, obviously they made the play to try letting their match was great and letting the game pass them by. And whenever you play that right, to be in these type of lobbies, but you know, even before that, right, you saw them go for creative plays just like this. Dexy's no stranger to winning these types of lobbies as well, not just letting their match play out and letting the game pass them by. And whenever you play that proactively in these type of lobbies, guys make that win happen, but opportunities to win games just like this.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be giving you even more information, all the talking points from game number 1. So
no surprise seeing these guys make that win happen, but really well played from them.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be giving you even more information, all the talking points from game number 1. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Group 1 of Major number 2 in the FNCS. And if you missed Group 1's opening match, then you missed a treat because Hootie and, welcome back to Group 1 of Major number 2 in the FNCS. In the Major 2 Grand Finals in a few weeks' time. But it was a very closely run thing, as it always is in the end game. Hootie and one player who nearly solo clutched things out for his trio was Artist and Texie. They put their spot in the Major 2 Grand Finals in a few weeks' time. But it was a very closely run thing, as it always is in the end game. And one player who nearly solo clutched things out for his trio was Chasing that end game.
If you were following that team during the end game, I don't think we were specifically on level opportunities, then as the zone was moving around the hill, they were sort of playing on low ground quite a bit. And again, they were just playing like sort of basic, sort of how you'd expect Taysom to play, really. There were situations where obviously the Chiefs were still going to be able to make things happen. Then as the zone was moving around the hill, they were sort of playing on low ground quite a bit. there. And again, they were just playing like you can expect to be in endgames consistently, right? And so Chris goes down. Are they going to win a game? Taysom are still going to be able to make things happen to Carter. But Chicho and Trilex, they didn't win a game who we had at the start of the day. As a team who you can expect to be in endgames consistently.
Minimizing risk, right? Like you said, and we mentioned earlier, they play incredibly consistent, and in my opinion, they're going to at least qualify through consistency if they don't end up getting a victory royale before that. So seeing them at minimizing risk, right? Like you said, and we mentioned earlier, they play incredibly consistent, and in my opinion, they're going to at least qualify through consistency if they don't end up getting a victory royale before that. So seeing them in the top 3, top 5 is going to be a pretty common factor for the rest of these matches.
Is that something you think will kind of get a little bit I guess, into the double digits as we move forward? And they are currently in a not too shabby full position.
I mean, it's all about minimizing risk, but when you're talking about risky situations, another duo or trio, sorry, I mean, I said duo, I got confused because it's Sky and Stroll. I mean, they lost iDrop way, like even 7%. I mean, it's all about minimizing risk, that duo chemistry when you're talking about risky situations, another duo or trio, sorry. I mean, I said duo, I got confused because it's Sky and Stroll. I mean, they lost iDrop having way, like even 7th or trios already 11, but it wasn't a problem for chemistry was showing strong as they were eliminating player after player, continuing all the way throughout that late game, having lost one of their trios already 11, but it wasn't a problem for them.
But without shields, obviously, big up to Dexy and them lot for securing a spot in the finals. It's just was the highlight of that game. There is no way Sky and Stroll spent a lot of that end game. They survived for so long, but without any shields as well. Like they were lasting so long without even any shields. I asked questions about whether their form was going to be as good as it has been last season. There is no way he should start to pick things up now in that position. Like that, they're going to shut me right. You mentioned the dual chemistry.
It almost felt like a miracle though, boys, because Stroll was on his own in Zone 5. He was able to red Sky, and then the magic truly happened. I just wonder, thinking about the brains of players when that happens, do you think when they're able to at least get that res and when the game was almost finished on his own, do you think they kind of go able to red Sky and then the magic just really happened? I just wonder, lucky to be here. Let's just like risk everything and kind of. Do you think when they're able to at least get that res and when the game was almost finished for them, do you think they kind of go hell for leather in that final end game? And they're just like, right, just we're lucky to be here. Let's just like risk everything and kind of run it down almost.
Yeah, I think there's different approaches from that situation. I think just depends on sort of your confidence level, how you rate around you. Because it's like, yeah, some people are like, okay, we're doing let's just try to get the most out of it and survive as long as you can. They can transfer that like Sky and Stroll in that situation, having just go, we're still two of the best players.
I'm really
sorry to cut you off, Frankie. When you have that duo chemistry in the trios format, you're still able to do so much and get so far with so little going into the later part. Sorry to cut you off, Frankie, but it's just even when you have that duo chemistry in the trios format, you're still able to do so much and get so far with so little going into
some sweet highlights from him and his trio 11. I would love to see how Fraggy marries this game, because we talked about the fact he's one of the best fraggers, not the best fragger in this lobby. So let's see some sweet highlights from him and his trio 11.
You can expect to see with the game. They're going to be in these end games. They're going to be fighting for power positions and taking up a lot of space in these lobbies. And they have all the firepower and the talent to do so. We saw in that last game in the same game. Again, they're a team that's game. You can expect to see win a game. They're going to be in these end games. They're going to be fighting for power positions and taking up a lot of space. They have a couple more games to sort of find their firepower and the talent to do so.
You just want to get a bit more practice in maybe. I think it was Huddy, Dexy, and Artist that actually went for some free edits onto Marius early on into that end game. So they had a lot of trios attacking them, but they still made it very far.
Can I just say,
you just want to get a bit more practice in maybe. I think it was Huddy, Dexy, and Artist that actually went for some free edits onto Marius early on into that end game. So they had a lot of trios attacking them, but they still made it very far.
Because I spoke to Podesai in the lobby position 3 right this week, and Podesai was giving a big chat. X-Reason Podesai has just come into this trio. And I don't want to offend everyone earlier. This is going to come up to the Poda split because we're so good off score and we're so good at fighting and no one wants to challenge us. Earlier this week, and Poda was getting a big chat. Fine, you made it to the end game. You played a really good, intelligent game, but I still want to see you showing off. Offend everyone. I don't know about you guys. It's going to come up to the Poda split because we're so good off score and we're so good at fighting and no one wants to challenge us. But you know what? I think things about okay, fine, you made it to the end game. You played a really good, intelligent game, but I still want to see you showing off. I don't know about you guys. Let's go to our casters for game number 2. It is ready with Mini Miner and Tango.
Things about my compatriots.